What's up, my dudes? We got a track review of Dade City MX made by Cody Maverick. So, yeah, it's been a while since I've made me a track review. I know I said I was going to come in here and really start doing these. To be completely honest with you, there just hasn't been a whole lot of really unique, super full-blown track review worthy tracks coming out here recently. It's just been a lot of standard, very standard stuff here and there, and it's just there's not a whole lot of tracks that have been being made for MX Simulator, to be completely honest with you. Like, it's a lot of people's first and second tracks and stuff like that, and I don't know. I mean, I like to go in there and review that every once in a while, but I like to try to come in here and really also review things that are actually interesting and something that's really going to be like, oh, that's actually cool to watch that kind of video, instead of just somebody's random first track that has no decals on it, or there's a lot of that on MX Simulator as far as the custom tracks, just simply those bare bones basic, like pretty much the most standard woodland biome you could ever imagine in your life, but apparently this is actually this guy's first track release ever, and I'm really shocked by that, to be honest. This is actually quite impressive if this is your very first track release ever, really. I mean, if that's the case, you must have made quite a few tracks previously, or you're running off of like a very pre-made Photoshop, jump corner building system or something, because I promise you're not going to make a track like this your first day ever. You're not going to make an environment like this on your first track ever without having quite a bit of pre-experience. Like, it's just not going to happen. This is too good to be like that. So I don't know if he just went in there and made 30 tracks and never released them, and then came in here and made this one. I don't know how it happened, but either way, this is pretty solid right here, dog. I'm not gonna lie to you. Robitussin. Pretty solid for sure. Some of these corners can be a lot of fun coming around, and I love coming in here and reviewing these sort of like more so popular local vibe kind of replica tracks that have been made on MX Simulator. Like, you guys know the Milestone replica tracks. It's cool to come in here and review stuff like the Minios replica tracks and Mammoth and some of this other stuff that they've made out there, Dade City, all that kind of stuff. It's a little bit more popular style replica, more local vibe type tracks that have been made in the game, so it's pretty cool to come in here and see that made in the game. And yeah, dude, gotta clear my voice out. Need to sip down some tea, dude. Let me chug a couple more gallons, get shit out of my throat. Hang on, dog. Damn, there we go, boys. I got it. So yeah, either way, obviously this track has somewhat of a more deepy, sandy, kind of loamy type vibe to it. You're going to feel that as soon as you get on it. You're just going to kind of slide your bike into all these corners. It's definitely going to have a little bit of that, kind of feeling like the whole bike's sliding everywhere, but not in a slick way, right? Not like sliding on ice. It's like kind of that sand slide, right? So you're going to get that feeling on the track. Now, pretty much every single corner on this has a giant outside berm that goes all the way around the outside, almost just like the border of the track more so, but you can ride all the way around it. I say giant, I don't mean giant in height, I mean giant, and it goes literally all the way around the track. Like, pretty much the entire track has an outside berm on it. So I'm not exactly sure what the real live Dade City track. I've seen a couple little videos here and there, but it's been a long time ago. I've never seen it in real life or rode on it in real life, so I can't really speak on it like that. But overall, I mean, this is not bad at all, dude. I was pretty impressed. I saw some of the pictures of it on the forums, and I was like, that might be good, might not be good. But once I got on it, like, pretty solid, dude. And even though it doesn't have like any huge jumps on it or any like big fun factor jumps, it still has a fun feeling to it. I don't know, just the combination of the semi-realistic ground decal on it, and the off-track detail, and the feeling like you're actually in a real place, just kind of how he put some of this off-track stuff together, and some of these off-track raised terrain areas and stuff like that. I don't know how to explain it. Just really makes you feel like you're on a real life local vibe track, so you don't even really feel like you need any sort of big jump fun factor. I don't know, it's bizarre. When it puts you in the place of that track, you know, it really, really puts you there. That almost is the fun factor to it, right? So it's kind of weird explaining that to somebody, but that kind of is what makes it fun, is you feel like you're really riding on that real life track. So you can certainly overjump some of these smaller tabletops and stuff, but especially if you're on a 450 and you're more on that pro level, I mean, obviously. But it's still fun to come in here and rip around some of these more, you know, standard kind of amateur vibe tracks on here. So, yeah, I mean, I could certainly see where some of the, you know, inside ruts and certain little areas on the track could kind of feel a little bit on the janky side, a little bit on the weird side here and there. I mean, I could see that sort of argument, but I think overall it's not too bad. Definitely not too bad at all. So, yeah, dude, I was pretty impressed with it overall, to be honest. It's got that sort of like, you know, Google Maps layout, whatever you want to call it, over the whole track. So it's got more of that, almost looks kind of like some of the Glen Helen's RF tracks and stuff. You guys kind of know how that looks, where it literally, like, you can see almost the Google Map image on the track. So it kind of gives it a bit of that, you know, varied dirt terrain decal, and just kind of how all that looks, and the layering of it and all that looks pretty good. So little water pond there to the left, just a couple little things here and there. It kind of brings it all together. Nice little grass areas in between. I really like the way that looks right there, man. How I raised up just right there on the off side of the track, but then he's got that grass right there, and then inside the grass it's got a multi different colored decal. And all these different areas kind of have a different decal look to it. Even that little area right there has got the little water pond, the little raised up area in between. A little bit of grass off on the upside, a little bit of grass on some of the sides of some of these jumps. Just little additions like that definitely can pull a track all the way around and make it feel like a real place. So I was really impressed with his tree. Once I got over here in this one corner, I got to looking off in the woods over here, and I was like, damn, dog. That is pretty realistic. Let me get back to it in first person. I mean, look over here to the left. I mean, man, that's pretty solid, dude. I don't know if it's just him using so many different kinds of trees or what it is, but it certainly makes a very interesting, dense, thick woods type look to it, without a doubt. Which he doesn't really have any grass or bush billboards like past a certain area. You can see how those are just kind of right on the border of the track, basically. But, man, that just looks like a damn jungle in there. There's just so many different tree, you know, billboards put together, and it just really looks like a clutter and a flutter of trees, and it just worked, dude. Like, I don't know how to explain it. It just kind of looks like, you know, kind of that Florida type, almost swampy possibly back there somewhere. You know, kind of got a little bit of that swampy, but still got the standard woodlandy, you know, almost kind of vibe to the trees and stuff. But then he's got that little grass billboard over there and a couple little bush billboards, and it just brings the whole off track together, man, versus just having like one tree, you know, copied over and over and over, or having, you know, whatever, like you see 90% of the tracks out there, just one tree over and over and over, which I just did on my 125 track that I made. And I was doing that for like a purpose, right? I was trying to make that more standard JGMX style off-track woodland vibe to it. I was like literally trying to do that on that track. But when I go in there and make like a real woodland track, it's going to look more like this kind of off-track. Because this, to me, looks way more realistic than the, you know, just the one tree over and over and over in random areas. Like, it just looks more real. I don't know how to explain it. It just looks like there's more time been put into it. It looks like there's more, you know, just overall thought process in the entire track design and stuff like that. So, yeah, it's not like this track is super complex. I mean, there's really not all that much roughness on it at all. It's pretty smooth. Couple of inside lines here and there on a couple of the corners, right, but not a whole lot of different stuff to hit. There's just really not. It's basically like you're gonna, you know, hold the gas all the way around that little small outside berm all the way around the outside, or you're gonna kind of get on your brakes and dip and dive into the inside of some of these corners, and that's pretty much all you can do. There's really no. You might be able to hook that all the way to there. I just now thought of that now that I'm seeing it, playing it back, but didn't really think about hitting that previously. But yeah, even like this right here is probably the biggest jump on the whole track, and it's not even big. So, you know, this is definitely not a jump lovers kind of track, I wouldn't say, but it's got that local vibe to it. I mean, this is kind of just what you expect. You know, you don't want to have some 85,000 foot jump on a local track. That wouldn't really make a whole lot of sense. But this corner right here in particular, the way he swept this all the way back around that outside berm, you can get to hauling from ass on that, boy. I'm talking like 7th gear wide ass open, never letting off all the way down that. Couple of areas you can kind of figure out if you want to go outside or inside. A couple areas where if you go inside, you're kind of hitting like a little bit of a little roller jump, so you're not, you know, keeping your tires on the ground the whole way around. So a couple little balance line areas like that and stuff that you could certainly think about and make passes and do all that. This right here, I think going to the outside is a lot slower. I think like literally a couple places you could just cut to the left right here, right? Jump to the left, and then cut both of these S corners right here, like cut to the left and then cut to the right, because you can jump. See, I hit that so slow right there. I wasn't even thinking. That is definitely the slow line. I think I did start hitting it a little bit better a couple laps up here, and then didn't even hit the, what the fuck am I doing? Didn't even hit the triple. A couple of these laps I was just goofing off right here, boys. This is like my first, 10 laps on the track, so I was kind of just goofing. But, yeah, man, you can overjump the crap out of that. You can definitely get to flowing on this puppy, too, though. It's got that, sandy, really feeling like you can lean the bike over in the corners and keep the power on pretty much everywhere. So, got that cool feel. Got the little stand stadium type area off there to the right. And all that, if you know Dade City, I'm sure all you guys are probably looking at that like, oh, hell yeah, that looks really good. I mean, I would assume that's all made pretty well, like realistic as far as real life-wise goes. So, yeah, this is probably a pretty fun track for some of you beginner guys that, haven't, just sat out there and jumped, 100-foot rhythm sections all day, every day on this game and kind of burnt yourself out a little bit on the, the more realistic local vibe tracks can kind of seem a little bit like you're never even getting off the ground sometimes when you're so used to hitting some of the bigger jumps and stuff in the game. But it still is fun. I mean, it still can bring you back for sure. But check out that slide, dude. You can get your bike kind of sliding around, but just keeping the power on. You can definitely get her going pretty quick. So, oh yeah, nice skybox. Thank God it's not the default skybox. Then even over there to the right, it's got some cool other off-track trees and stuff. So, little bit of roughness right there, right? That is the one place I noticed it a little bit, and you do kind of get going pretty fast, so you get a little bit of that chop sketch feel to it. But as long as you keep that throttle on, keep her going, you're probably not going to fall down from this roughness. It's not that rough. You know what I'm saying? It's not like any, real braking bumps or any kickered out bump areas or anything like that. So, but yeah, I mean, overall, not a terrible track, especially if it's your first track. That's pretty insanity. I don't really know how that even happened, but yeah, you certainly must have had somebody explaining to you exactly how to do all this, because this is, trust me, dog, this ain't something you just do on your first track and like I said, unless you just sit there and make 50 tracks and never release any of them, then you release your first quote-unquote track, then yeah, you might be able to make something like this. But if you're just kind of doing it on your own and you're making your first track, I promise you it ain't going to look like this. Promise you, dog. There's no way. Like, you're gonna have to go through some tutorials, some, like, lots of lessons, people telling you how to do shit to even remotely make that kind of off-track tree area over there look like that. To me, that takes a long time to get to where you can do that. I'm not really sure, I mean, I just would never imagine a dude's beginner, like, first track would look like that off-track-wise, but that's just me, dog. So, cool little, got a little red and yellow little, you know what I'm talking about? What the hell do they even call that? Little fucking, it's not a fence, but it's a, what do you call it? A banner? I don't know what you call that. But you guys know how that's on a lot of the local tracks, so it looks pretty cool. I just put that on there. And that's kind of like your little area where you go by the stands. So I love local vibe tracks, man. Grew up racing on them just like everybody else did. And so it's pretty cool when you get to come in here and see that kind of stuff. And he's got this nice little tree over here by this wooden fence. This little area right here, you really remember it on the track because it's like, he doesn't have all of the trees over here like he does on his far off track. He just has that one tree there. So it really separates this whole area from the rest of the track. So I thought that was pretty cool. And then another little stands area over there. So yeah, overall, I'm going to give this thing like a, I'm going to give it like a 8 overall. And I'm going to say the difficulty is probably easy. But most of the jumps pretty simplistic, pretty chilled out. So, yeah, dudes, either way, appreciate you guys watching all the videos. Later.